Hi there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mariana and today I'm going to talk about a very important and interesting topic which has to do with studying and student life. So today I'm going to share with you how I study for my subjects in college and how I plan my semester so I'm prepared for each exam from start to end. And I'm also going to quickly talk about exam weeks and how you can prepare for your exams, doing exercises and reading and that kind of stuff. So today I'll focus primarily on how I study a specific subject, which is fluid mechanics, but the things I'm gonna say here are gonna help you with any kind of subject. It can be math, it can be physics, but it can also be reading, it can be writing, and it can be in history or anything like that. So let's jump right into it. Okay guys, so the first thing you should do when you are starting a new subject is to find your textbook. I got this one from the library, and it's very important that you have a textbook to actually study on your own, not only with your class notes but also a formal textbook. And I also chose to have two notebooks this semester, one for class notes, which is this one here, and one for my personal studies at home. And if that's not enough for exercises, I'm also going to use some sheets that I have to study and do some exercises. And after the semester is done, I usually put every sheet I own for that subject in a plastic folder like this one, so I keep everything separated and also safe. A very important tip I have is to actually buy notebooks that you think are pretty and try taking notes that make you feel good. So in a way you get motivated to work and to study because you think your notebook is pretty and you like it. With my textbook in hand, the first thing I do is to actually go to the summary page and check out the content that I'm gonna study. And when I get home from the first class, what I do is I take my study notebook and I make a page only for the summary. So this is the page for the summary, and you can see it has only 3 chapters so far, but that's because we only studied 2 chapters so far. So as we go along, I'm gonna add the chapters, and this is also very motivating because you always feel like, oh, I should finish these chapters today, and it always feels nice to tick off one of these chapters or subsections of the chapter. And it also keeps everything organized. So here I have what it's called introduction, and here I also put the introduction. So whenever I'm studying, I know exactly where each chapter is. So introduction is here. If we go along, we can see this is another chapter, which is fundamental concepts. So it's really helpful to just have the summary page. Another thing that I think is really important is to try to study right from the beginning of the semester. So for example, this was the first class I had, and it was on the 11th. And right after this class, on the next day, I actually started studying the same chapter that we studied in class. So it's important to do that because the concepts are fresh in your mind, and you can actually put them down more easily than you would if you waited for a week or a month to do it. So just to illustrate, I'm gonna go through chapter 1 of this book and show you how I would normally study. So the first thing you should do is to actually read each subsection of the chapter you're reading, and after you read that subsection, you should annotate it, not on the book but on a separate notebook. You should put the information you find are the most important for your understanding and for later reference when you're going to study for your exam. So instead of going through, I don't know, each phrase and writing down something that you thought was important, I highly advise you to read through the whole subsection This way you know exactly which information is relevant and which information is not relevant, and you really summarize and really focus on the important things. Also, when studying a chapter, it's really important that you not only read the textbook, but you also go through your class notes. Because sometimes something that you wrote during your class is really important and makes everything easier to understand. So just go along the class notes as well as your textbook and annotate anything that you think is important or relevant. I am a really visual person, which means I understand better if I see what's happening. So it's always good to draw diagrams. Again, they don't have to be perfect, just they have to help you to understand what is written. If a diagram is not relevant to what is written, or if a diagram doesn't help you understand, don't draw the diagram on your notebook. Like I said before, I do a summary page, so every day I try to get at least one subsection done, which means I'll study every day to try and keep the subject in order and also to have things fresh in my mind. And every day I try to finish a chapter, but if I'm not able, I just finish a couple subsections or one subsection at least. As you can see here, yesterday, the 19th, I actually studied, but I only got done one subsection, and that's because I was tired and it was late. I arrived home late, and that's not a problem. As long as you have everything under control, it won't be a problem. Just try to keep a nice routine of studying. Now I'm gonna give you a tip more about math and physics and things that have to do with math. It's very good that you read your textbook and you understand the concepts and everything like that, and you remember the equations. But it's even more important to go and make some exercises, because even though you can be sure that you understand the concept or an equation, you might not be able to apply it properly during a question. So one of the most important things is to actually do a lot of exercises and practice a lot. And this is the secret for math and physics, I think. So now I'm gonna quickly talk about the exam week. What I do is, since I study throughout the whole semester, during exam week, what I do is to go over my notebook, my notes not from class, but my study notes, and I go through them, I read them, and then right after that, what I do is to go ahead and make a short revision and write down on a separate sheet of paper every part of the subject, and also a very short one-page summary of the whole subject. For math and physics, what I usually do is to write down the formulas and the equations and also some very important concepts. But aside from that, I just read my notebook. And after that, what I do most is to actually go ahead and do old exams that I found on the internet or on the college itself, or I go and solve exercises from the textbook and examples from class. So here you can see a lot of exercises. This is for mechanics of solids that I had last semester, and as you can see, there is a lot of exercises, and I usually do this much every time I'm gonna study for an exam, and that's how you get good grades, guys. Okay guys, so that was basically it. I still have some tips that I want to share, but I will do that on another video when I'm more prepared to share them. And I hope this was helpful. And if you have any questions, just comment down below and I will answer them. For those of you who are wondering how many hours I study per day, my semester just started, so this is my bullet journal. I'm gonna show you how many hours I have studied so far. And this is my study routine, so actually my study tracker, and you can see here it really depends on the day. Some days I'm very inspired and I study like 4 hours, and other days I'm not that inspired and I study less than 1 hour. But around 2 hours per day is great. If you don't have that time, 1 hour will be just fine as well. And it also has to do with how many subjects you are taking during the semester. So, for example, this semester I'm taking 5 classes, but they are hard classes, so I have to actually study a lot. Anyway, that was it. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you!